Hey, I'm Ross Chastain, and you're watching Like a Farmer.
Hey y'all, it's Pat with Like a Farmer. I am in the watermelon fields of South Georgia, and my next guest is somebody who loves living in the fast lane. Mr. Ross Chastain has decided to join me today. Ross, thanks for having me out, actually.
Yeah, Pat. It's good for me to be back in a watermelon field, and good to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. You have, congrats on a hell of a year so far.
Yeah.
On and off the track, and I can't wait to talk about it all. But I want to start with the most recent win in Nashville. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
Oh, it feels great. Great timing for us to come here.
Exactly.
As we smashed a watermelon there on the front stretch in Nashville, man. But big, I mean, honestly, hard to put into words, right? So Trackhouse, my race team, Justin Marks and Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide,
is Mr. 305.
Is the idea of Trackhouse was formed in Nashville. Justin moved his family there several years ago, and moved Ty Norris there to create this idea that with NASCAR implementing a new car, what was supposed to be in 2021, it got delayed a year to 2022. They wanted to get into the cup racing. Justin wanted to own a team, and he had this vision for Trackhouse to be this brand, this really global brand one day, but to have its foundation built on a NASCAR team. And I remember the first time Justin called me from Nashville and told me about it was at the end of 2020, and then in 2022 I go to work for him to drive the number one car, and so to come back to Nashville for our third year, we've been back at the super speedway there in Lebanon outside of Nashville, and
got it done.
To go fight for the win. One thing, to qualify on the pole. Saturday is a day I'll never forget. To put together two rounds of qualifying and finally get that first pole for the team and myself, and then to win the race past Martin and Denny, two guys that haven't exactly seen eye to eye with in the last 2 years, and it was just to pass them meant a lot, and to win the race, go 90 something laps green to the end and have the fastest car. To win in Nashville, we had a good Sunday night at Tootsie's.
Oh, in Broadway, baby.
Man.
Love it. Hey,
was
congrats,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, thank
Love
you.
that. So does Pitbull really? He's part owner of Trackhouse?
He is, man.
Have you all hung out? Like, do you know the guy?
I do. I've gotten to meet him before we announced that I was going to drive for Trackhouse, and we got it all done in 2021. Ty Norris, our team president, told me and called me and said, I'd like to get you on a call with Armando. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, he wants to meet you. And the whole time I'm going, Armando, who is Armando? Like, I don't know the team yet. I'm trying to learn everybody's name, and we're not even working together yet. And he finally goes, yep, he's in Miami, he's touring. And I was like, he's talking about Pitbull.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to get on the phone. He's going to three-way in Pitbull. And he did. And he's a car guy. We talked for probably 20 minutes, and he talked for 15 of the minutes. And he just told me about his life, his love for competing. He likes to win. He's been an underdog. He's seen he knows what life is like outside of America and how good we have it here and the opportunities. And he just wants to take NASCAR and our competition to his fan base around the world, because he knows they want to win as well. So he wants to win in life. He wants to win on the track, and he checks in. He texts, even on the bad days. Hey man, keep fighting.
Checking in.
Underdogs, us against the world. Let's get them. And
he'll
obviously
pump you up. Like, even in his songs, he gets you. You'll run through a brick wall after you get on talking.
I mean, I ran into the Martinsville wall.
Well, that's true. That's true. Mr. 305, I love him. Yeah. So let's get back to the winning. After each race that you win, you decide to smash a watermelon. Yep. Hit on that. I mean, what's behind the scenes? What's going on? Where did that come from?
I mean, you couldn't be in a better spot to talk about this, man.
Exactly.
The watermelon sitting here next to us. Yeah, look, my brother and I are 8th generation watermelon farmers. It's what the Chastains have done for a really long time. Since Pierre Chastain came over in the early 1700s, they've been pretty early on after that. Everybody was coming to America and farming, and most of our families, everybody watching, listening, and everybody here that's helping today happen, their families farmed at some point, but we've been fortunate enough to stay in it. And there's less people directly responsible for feeding the rest of the world than ever today.
Exactly.
Like there are less and less farmers growing our food. So watermelons are not a part of everybody's everyday diet. They're not necessary to have 3 meals a day, but we're proud to be a small part of feeding the world. So we farm in South Florida. We're in South Georgia today. We've got other family farms we work with across the country. We've just dove headfirst. My family has over the generations to just stay in it, and we had to grow. And there's been some not so good times with my granddad and my great uncle TJ. But when my granddaddy and him got out of high school, they went into the service because that was a better life than life at the farm.
Yep.
And they came back and got back into it after they served, and it's been a steady uphill, I would say, from there. But I mean, my granddad remembers plowing a field with a mule, and that's just wild for me to think about.
Yeah.
With what he's built for my dad and my uncle Richie, and on into my generation and my cousins now, the ones that are involved. So when I got into NASCAR racing, the agriculture community supported me. Nobody knew
day one, correct.
Nobody knew who Ross Chastain was in NASCAR or racing. I did some local racing in Florida. We won some races over at New Smyrna near Daytona, but not enough to get a ride. And so we went out to companies that we dealt with in the field and asked if they wanted to be a part of it. And they wanted to because of our farm and supporting agriculture.
Of what you've done leading up to that point, that's why they wanted to jump on board. And it's been, you hit it on the head. It's been really cool to see the whole ag community, no matter what commodity, get behind Ross Chastain. And you've got, the watermelon man, from what some people might call you. But that's your backup support when it comes to your NASCAR career, and it's really cool to see. And that's why I was so excited when you said, Pat, I'm coming on Like a Farmer. This is a no-brainer, because hearing you talk about the adversity that farmers face every single day, that's what we're trying to shed light onto, right? We're trying to celebrate the American farmer, but educate the American people, because there's not a lot of people that understand where their food comes from and who grows their food, or where their clothes come from, or who grows their clothes. And that's what we're trying to do with Like a Farmer. So you were a perfect fit.
When I started in 2011 in the truck series, I didn't worry about who knew Ross Chastain. I didn't. I wanted to race. That was my goal. But I knew that if I could promote watermelons, that I was doing my job, because that's what the companies that were involved with me, they didn't need their businesses necessarily on the truck. They wanted to promote watermelons as a whole for the whole industry. And if one more watermelon was sold, then it's going to help the whole rising tide raises all ships mentality. Yep. So, a lot of people just knew me as Melon, or the watermelon kid. And then as I got older, now we're 30 now,
yeah, exactly.
both of us. It became just Melon Man. And
who's older though? When's your birthday?
December.
Oh, I'm October.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So I'll hopefully never catch up to you. But
there you go. Amen.
Yeah, it's it's something. And then when we got to a point where we thought we could win, so I went years without winning. 2011 to 2018, we didn't win a single race. Nothing.
Yep.
That's a lot of losing. That
is.
And when I got an opportunity in 2018 where we thought we could win, we actually talked about what are we going to do? How are we going to celebrate? And we wanted to make sure we always had watermelons at the track to cut up and promote in the garage and on TV, but we wanted to do something hopefully when we won. And I raised it up above the car in Victory Lane at Las Vegas, our first national series win in the Xfinity Series. And then I just set it down and I carried it to the press conference. I took pictures with it, but I didn't do anything with it. And a little while later, someone asked me what I was going to do with it. I said, probably bust it open and eat it. So I asked the track if I could go out and do it on the front stretch. Well, now I don't have to ask anymore. Once I got clearance that first time, I've never asked again, because I don't want anybody to tell me no, and I just get out and smash it right away. And honestly, though, I was a little worried how it might be, taken, or people in the industry might think about me busting one.
Yep.
And after I won that race, my granddad called me that night, and I'm riding to the hotel, and we're talking about it, and he's super excited. My granddaddy, and he's farmed his whole life.
Yep.
And he said, Ross, you'll never know how many people in this world saw you today. You've done something that you've chased a dream for years, but for watermelons, you'll never know how that'll affect the industry. And I said, well, what are you okay with it? He said, absolutely. If it sold one more watermelon, you've done your job today, and your job is to go promote. So it was really cool. And I've gotten great support, and now I pick it up and eat it, and I got to tell you, it's never tasted sweeter than Victory Lane.
I love that. What a great story. So 8th generation farmer, love that. JDI Farms, is that Just Do It
It
Farms?
is.
I mean, I love that.
It is. Yeah, my dad Ralphie, farmed with his brother Richie, had Chastain brothers, and my granddad and his brother. You know how families are.
Oh, yeah.
You work together, you
Yep.
work apart, you work together. It kind of ebbs and flows, and so, yeah, when, I don't know. I really don't know actually the exact timeline and the exact date, but when it was just my dad farming, he created JDI, and it was his. It's just kind of his mentality, and something that he says is, and I can remember as a kid just, I got to go over there and dig this ditch on the backhoe. He'd say, yeah, just do it, just go figure it out.
Yeah.
Just do it. And I guess he's said that long before I was around and born, and so it was just an easy thing to call the farm. And that's it's
awesome.
stuck just with my dad. So now my dad and Chad, my brother, that's they're full time with JDI Farms.
So a majority leading up to NASCAR, I mean, you spent on the farm, and now you're having all of this success in NASCAR. What are the lessons that you think that you learned on the farm that led to your success today?
It's just that phrase my dad would say, just do it, does ring in my ears. There was a lot of times early where, just to be honest with you, I had to bring the sponsors to race. So when you get into racing, whether you're racing at your local track, my local track was 417 Speedway. It's shutting down, unfortunately, now in South Florida. But there's a similar 3/8 mile asphalt track right here in Cordele, Watermelon Capital Speedway, Crisp County.
Yep.
And no matter if you're, my little cousin's out there racing, my uncle we have to pay for that. The tires cost money, the engine, the fuel, pit passes to get into the pits, like everything costs money, but we go to work, and my dad's thing was always, we're gonna go to work, we're gonna grow our watermelons, and then our fun and our hobby, like what we're gonna do for fun, if we all agree, we're gonna go race. And we had a blast, and it brought my family closer together. My grandparents, my mom's parents, my first race, they didn't want to go because they thought it was too dangerous, so they didn't come watch. And they'd been to every soccer game I ever played. They'd been to all my brother's basketball and football games when he was growing up. They didn't go. Second race, I came and watched, and my brakes went out. I lost brakes, but I didn't hit anything. I just had to stop. So my granddad, he's a gearhead, and he said, if you're going to keep doing this, I'm going to come work on it, make it safer. So racing brought my family closer together than I could have ever hoped for and dreamed for.
That's awesome.
Not that we were apart. We were just normal. And now, in 2005, when I started racing, our family traveled together. We traveled to Ocala, to Lakeland one time, New Smyrna, Orlando, in our track there in Punta Gorda, and it brought us closer together. So back to the farm, though, you just get up and go. So you wake up and you just don't know what today's going to bring. The weather dictates everything. So in Florida, we're on real sandy soil. We have to dig perimeter ditches and cross ditches with a trackhoe to move water, to irrigate, because if it rains, you got to get the water out, but then when it's dry, you got to pump the water in. So every area of the country is a little different. We're on drip here in this field, and you got natural elevation for the water to drain away. But you have to come to the field every day as a farmer and just work. You don't know what the day's going to bring. So I took that mentality into racing, and when I moved to North Carolina in 2012, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have the support of a manufacturer like Chevrolet.
Yep.
I didn't have coaches. I was bouncing every year to a new team, just where the opportunity was. And it was always very fluid. Sometimes mid-season I would change teams. So I took the thought of me and my dad, we talk almost every day. Really every day. And he's headed to the field, and I was getting up to try to figure out my next, what did I need to do today to make the race on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday as the years have progressed and we moved up. What do I need to do? And he would give me, ideas of who people to go talk to, and we'd talk about conversations I had that might further my career. And then when I got with Chevrolet, It's all the things I ever wanted in those early years, I have now. I have the resource. I have the coaches. I have the sponsors. So I don't have to bring the sponsors anymore. The sponsors want to sponsor me.
They're coming to you now.
And because of what we've done, and they've seen who I am, and I've been able to tell my story and be me. I can be natural to me. I mean, I've said it before, I'm a round-toed boot, plaid short-sleeve shirt wearing farmer.
Absolutely. I love it.
Somehow has figured out how to drive a car in a circle really fast.
Yeah, and that's what I want to hit on. So you come from a family farm operation, and now, in my opinion, I mean, you're on top of the NASCAR world. Like, where did that even start? Like, how old were you when you got behind the wheel, and what made you want to kind of chase the dream of being in NASCAR?
Yeah, my dad is why I wanted to do it. He did some hobby racing before I was born, a little bit after. I remember him racing at our local track, and we had a 3/8 mile asphalt, pretty flat track it was on the airport property in Punta Gorda. Allegiant flies into there now. They rented out this track. This owner built it, or a guy built it, but you had to lease it from the airport. So you never could own it. So it's went through several owners, but it had shut down after Hurricane Charlie and then got back going again. And when it opened, we were interested, went up and watched, and Mark Martin's son, Matt Martin, was racing. He was a little bit older than me. And my dad asked if I wanted to try it. And I said, of course. So at 12 years old, you could run these fast trucks. They were called pro trucks. They had 350 horsepower, like a Monte Carlo old chassis frame. And he got a truck that he borrowed from a guy he used to race against, one of his buddies, Dennis Rockenhouse.
Love that.
And we drove it around. I drove it around the packing house at our farm. It was on a shell driveway. And got going fast enough where he said, okay, let's stop. And we took it to the track that Friday night, borrowed someone's race suit, had a Nextel walkie-talkie in my pocket with a wired earpiece in my ear. And he'd beep in and say, all right, go a little faster, push the gas, all right, that's fast enough, lower in the corner. He was coaching me.
Yeah, and you're 12 years old.
12 years old. And then we raced, and he was in the race talking on the walkie-talkie, spotting for me. Like, using the Nextel, how wild that seems.
Son, haul ass.
No, he was like, easy, don't wreck. And so from there, we got, my uncle gave me some of his old radios, my Uncle Doug. We just slowly, we bought our own race truck, we bought a race car trailer, and we just got into it, and then we were hooked. So but through that process, from 12 to 18 years old, my dad was I can remember vividly him constantly saying, Don't look at NASCAR. That's not us. We can't get there. Let's have fun here.
Yep.
If you're looking that far ahead, it's probably not going to be fun. I was racing against other kids that were openly saying that I'm going to get to NASCAR. They were hiring film crews to come document their career to NASCAR, and then they were going to do this big thing. And none of them are here.
You haven't seen them
We
yet,
were quiet. It was a big deal for maybe us to post on Facebook back then about our race, or that we were going to race that weekend. And so I
feel like you'd be more of like a MySpace guy.
I had a MySpace.
Did you?
I mean, it's
what was
still,
your song on MySpace, like when you would click open and it would play a song?
What was Zach Brown had maybe Toes in the Sand or something.
Oh, there you go. That was a good one.
Toes in the Water.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Love that.
12 years old, got into it, man, and fell in love with it. But it wasn't until 2011, I was 18 years old. We raced over in the World Series at New Smyrna in our limited late model, and we won that series, won 3 of the nights, and we decided we should look at NASCAR. We could race a full season of late models, or we could run one truck race. And as a bucket list thing, my dad thought, why don't we look at that one truck race? Let's not. We've won everything we could have ever wanted to win in late models for our car. Why don't we do this one truck race and just have that experience? And we can always say we've done it, but we're not going to race late models the rest of the year. And we did it, and it was supposed to just be one race at Indianapolis Raceway Park in July of 2011, and somehow one race has turned into over 450 now.
Golly.
National Series races across the top 3 series. It's
awesome.
Wild.
It is. What's your favorite place to race? Where?
Darlington.
Ooh, why?
Yeah, man. Darlington, South Carolina is an odd track. It's differently shaped on both ends.
Yep.
So they had to fit it between the highway in a minnow pond. I guess the landowner didn't want him to mess with his pond, and then they tried to fit it up against the highway so it was easy for people to get in and out. And it's close enough to the coast where the asphalt has a lot of shell in it, so it tears up the tires a lot.
And you just
mix
love
there,
that.
and I like that we slide around. It's helped that I've had fast cars there.
Yeah.
But I've had fast cars everywhere I've went with different teams in Xfinity, Trucks, Cup, and so that helps. So
Does that help with that? What do you call? I'm calling it the shake and bake, like the little wall move that you love to do. Can you?
The Hail Melon.
Okay.
Come on, we have to tie everything
Melon.
back to watermelons.
Hail Melon.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, that's just an awesome move.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's awesome. There might be some other guys out there, especially on the track, that don't, but we can.
One in particular.
One in particular. You got a mean right hook, too, by the way, man.
No. Okay. So
tell me about that move.
I do have to give Jeff Gluck with the Athletic credit. He's the one that coined the phrase, the Hail Melon. Look, it was just a desperate attempt to make the Final Four. So for those that follow and those that don't, our championship is made up of 26 regular season events, and this year we're about 2/3 of the way through that. And then you have a 10-race playoff with 3 rounds of 3 races, ultimately to get 4 cars out of the 36 down to 4, race for a championship in Phoenix. We had done great last year. We won 2 races earlier in the year, locked into the playoffs. Transferred through the rounds, had one scare at the Charlotte Roval where I crashed, but we made it through by like 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the final penultimate race at Martinsville, the second to last race, and we are 18 points up on the cut. That's 18 spots. Like, we should be able to run top 10 and be fine. And what we do, we ran 10th in the first stage. We got 1 point. We ran 10th in the second stage. We got a 2nd point.
Yep.
Well, our competitor won both of those stages and hung 20 points.
Ooh.
We got 2. So we are tied now. We have to basically finish ahead or within 1 spot of each other to transfer. And depending on what all happened.
You got a Hail Melon just kind of sitting in the pocket because you kind of have to.
Right. So out of the 8 guys that were trying to get down to 4, one of them won the race. It was last of the 8. He won, so he's automatically in. And on the last lap, I needed to gain 2 spots, but there was no cars in front of me to pass. They had pulled away. They were faster.
Yeah.
And they left me. So going
I'm
into
excited.
the final,
I feel like I'm in the car right now. This is great.
Yeah. So Martinsville is and you would not have wanted to been in the right seat of that car on that lap. It was wild. Coming to the white flag, Martinsville, about a 15, 16 second lap. Pops in my head as I'm taking the white flag, run the wall. I double check with my crew that I need 2 spots, got to get them, and they're saying, yes, need 2, got to get them. And I just shifted into 5th gear, which at Martinsville we use 3rd and 4th. We have sequential shifters, so we shift every lap. We downshift into the corner, we upshift on exit from 3rd to 4th, back and up and down. And I'm going down the straightaway, and I just fully committed to run into the wall, head on into it, but not hit it head on, just slide into it
for sure,
when it turned. And I realized I was going to hit the chip, so the RPM rev limiter, so I shifted to 5th just in an impulse and got against the wall, and the car it just didn't slow down. It slowed down less than 10 miles an hour. I was doing double the speed. I was doing almost 150 miles an hour in the corner.
On the wall,
wide open. I can't see anything. My vision goes blurry. I let go of the wheel because I don't know what's going to happen. Trust my seat belts and seat to hold me in. And if you run the normal line around the bottom, you're doing about 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm right at about double. Yeah. And I pop out of the other end. My vision comes back. I grab the wheel, and I'm side by side with the 11. And, we beat him, and we transferred through to the championship and ultimately ran 2nd. So don't know why it worked. Engineers at NASCAR
story.
And my team still can't explain it.
Wow. Hell yeah.
But
Good for you, man.
It was a desperate attempt to do anything it took
to get the job done,
to just do it. So even though we were losing, we were out with about 5 to go, I actually had a tear come out of my right eye. Like, we're turning left, so everything's force is gonna take it to the right. A tear came out, it ran down my cheek off into my helmet padding, and I'm just losing it inside internally. And some reason coming to the white, my brain went back into working. Like, from lap 5 to go from lap 495 to 499, I didn't do anything productive but slowly drive in a circle when I was losing time. And then, that popped in my head, and just somehow it worked.
Perseverance, man. That's my farmer trait that I'm going to give you, and that's what you've learned from growing up on the farm. That's awesome. Great story. Thanks for sharing that. What are you going to do when self-driving cars take over NASCAR? Like, you going to...
No, it won't take over the sport. Listen, if there was a Chevy Silverado I could ride to the race shop in the morning and not drive.
Yeah, hang out.
I might.
Cup of coffee.
I might do that. I still do, though, genuinely enjoy just driving anything. Obviously, I do it for a living, so we do simulator work. I'm driving virtually every week these racetracks. It's how we build our setups. We're practicing less and less, so I'm exposed to a lot of driving. So sometimes, at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is literally drive home.
Well, yeah, how is your day-to-day driving? Like, are you locked in, like, haul and tail, like you're in a NASCAR getting where you need to be first? Or
No, I'm not. I am the guy in the middle lane. If there's 2 lanes, I'm in the right lane. I'll pass, but I get over. The people that stay in the left lane all the time drive me crazy.
That are slow, too?
Right. If you're passing, but if there's anybody behind you and you're in the left lane, you've got to get over. I think it's actually a law.
There you go. You heard it here first. Ross says get over. If you're in the left lane, you're driving slow, get in the right lane.
Yeah.
I would love to see somebody honk at you for not going fast, and they drive by and say, "Oh, that's Ross Chastain."
Getting out of races sometimes, getting out of the track, it can be a little congested. We're coming out of the infield, and we've got different ways the industry kind of knows to sneak out, but sometimes you have to like cross traffic to get to another street. And I've had people honk at me, and I'll just like lean forward and wave. And used to, that didn't really. I was just like trying to be nice. Now they kind of like. Then they want to get out and like get an autograph, and I'll like sign out the window as I'm trying to make it to the plane or make it home. But no, I'm not an aggressive driver on the road, man.
You ever got a speeding ticket?
Oh, I mean, yes, I've gotten speeding tickets. Okay, look, yeah, I used to drive to most of the races through my younger days. Put a lot of miles on some vehicles around the country, and wouldn't trade those days, but it sure is nice to fly. And I've saved a lot of money on tickets now.
What is Ross Chastain like doing outside of racing? It's
a 7-day-a-week thing. It's something that there's always something I can be doing because it's so much revolves around me driving a car. So if I can do it a little bit better, there's always something I could do to be better at it. But yeah, for sure. I mean, just getting back to a farm. So I've gotten to know a lot of farmers around the country. Just stopping in when I can is something that I do truly enjoy. Just going to breakfast with my uncle this morning was just, it's just the things I don't get to do as much as I would if racing had not worked out, if I had just done it as a hobby, or if I had ran a few years in NASCAR. And there was times where I had honest conversations with my family about coming back to the farm.
You'd be a farmer.
Full-time.
Yeah. If you were not racing, would you consider yourself a farmer? Like
Absolutely.
You would be a farmer.
That was plan B.
Yeah.
That was as a kid, it was plan A. There was nothing else I wanted to do. I remember in elementary school, middle school, even high school, I wanted to be a farmer. I was going to get my degree, but work at the farm, still live and go to work every day. And I did want to go to college, and I did a semester and had more fun in that one semester of college than I did in all of high school. I really didn't enjoy high school as much as I should have, probably. But I did. I enjoyed getting out of school as early as I could and going to the farm. I mean, I was a kid. There were days my dad had to tell me, "You're going to the farm." Like, no, you're not going to go hang out with your friends. I wanted to do other things, but if I wanted to race, the farm had to come first. So if I wasn't, when I'm not racing though, I am pretty boring. I do have to just say it. But I mean, we do go wakeboarding and skiing, and we go on the boat, and didn't do a lot of hunting growing up. I've done a little bit more recently with some buddies, so that's been neat. I'm learning a lot of it. We just didn't do it. My family, just us personally. So as I've gotten out and grown up a little bit. 30 years old now, I can do some of that on my own, and
love that.
And so it's but I have to tell my buddies I'm going with, I'm like, look, don't assume I know anything. I'm learning hunting, really. And we kept deer and pigs from eating our watermelons, but we weren't doing it for the for the fellowship and the cool parts about hunting. You're going on to hunt on purpose versus just preserving our field here and our livelihood. It's a different mentality.
Animal control.
There's I'm getting to experience a lot of things and see parts of the country year after year now that we're racing consistently. And I've got, I know I'm going to be in the Cup Series now for a long time.
Which is awesome.
It's really, really cool. I've got a great home at Trackhouse, so but there's a lot of work to be done, and I don't ever feel like I've done quite enough.
Yep, and there's a lot of work to be done off of the track as well, and I'm excited to talk about the partnership that you and I are coming into with Like a Farmer and Ag to Asphalt. Yeah. So why don't you let's hit on that. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. We've got an incredible platform with NASCAR. We run 38 events a year, 38 weekends a year. We're racing somewhere in this country, and it's got a lot of potential. And over the last few years, we've been trying with my group at MMI and David and Philip to take what my family and what they've learned about me. And I've got a group now that they wake up every day and they have my best interest in mind.
Yep.
And then how can we use this platform to do more than just race cars? We want to win races. We want to smash watermelons and have a great time doing it. But there can be more to this. Yep. So for me, it's always going to come back to the farm. And we're going to kick off Ag to Asphalt at the Daytona 500 in 2024 with Like a Farmer. And we are going to bring farm families, hopefully the whole family, to the track, extend that invitation, and let them come take a break. Like, come to the race.
Yep.
Just come to the race and experience it. I think that's what's so great about sports and NASCAR is that it's not real. It's just cars racing in a circle, but man, is it exciting when you get there.
Absolutely.
You hear 36 or 40 of us come by. There'll be 40 cars in the Daytona 500, and you hear us roar by. We take off on the green flag. You're going to hear us all getting up to speed, and you're going to feel that energy starting. When we come back around, it's a different ball game.
Yep.
We're 200 miles an hour, bump drafting, 2 and 3 wide, and I just want families across the country from Daytona to Sonoma, California, whether you're growing grapes or almonds, watermelons, citrus, cattle, whatever it is, come and take a break. Like, you just come to the race and enjoy the event. Because farming is 7 days a week. For if you have plants in the ground or animals breathing, you are focused and you have to be
24/7
involved in that. So, I think that's a simple thing that we can do. It's something that I take for granted sometimes. I try not to, but it's just inherent when you do it for your livelihood 38 times a year. It just becomes second nature to be racing in all these different states and races and markets. So we're gonna invite them out. We're gonna show them a good time and just let them take a break and enjoy the show.
I mean, I'm excited to be a part of it. 38 races. We're gonna highlight a family farm at each race, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be, hell, they're going to get to hang out with Pat and Ross at every race, and we're going to shine some light on their operation, and we're going to have a good time doing it. So,
and like we were talking about before we jumped on camera, there's just so much to tell about agriculture. There's 100%. So many stories.
Yep.
And you asked me earlier, do I consider myself a farmer? I consider myself more of a consumer because I am racing for a living. I don't wake up and try to grow the best watermelon right now. I'm growing up to smash the best watermelon and win the race.
There you go.
That is my job, and that is what I wake up to do. And everybody I hope has that purpose where they wake up with. Mine is as simple as beating 35 other drivers on any given Sunday. Now, it just happens that they're the best drivers in the world, in my opinion. They're the best teams in the world. They're the best teams in our sport. And so beating them is really tough. That's what makes Nashville so awesome and a great time with everything that's went on for me personally and with our team to win. But I have that purpose, and I can tell the story of the people that are in charge of feeding the rest of us.
Yep, that's cool. Like I said, that's the platform of Like a Farmer. Let's shed light on the American farmer while we educate the American people. And the Ag to Asphalt partnership that we're doing, starting at the Daytona 500 next year, is going to be unbelievable. So looking forward to that. Got a couple segments on Like a Farmer. Really excited to to share these with you.
Yeah.
So segment number 1, we call the biggest gamble. Farmers take a gamble every day, right? I mean, you know what to grow this year, when to grow, how much to grow. They take a gamble. What do you think in your life has been your biggest gamble?
I mean, moving to Charlotte in 2012 at 18 years old was a gamble, but I could go back to the farm at that time if I needed to. My family was very open, like, go chase it. We'll be here. There'll be a spot for you. Now, after a few years, I realized if I went back, I was going to start low man on the totem pole. And I would, if I went back at any time in the last 5 or 6 years, it would be to work for my brother. My brother's 6 years younger than me, but if I go back, I'm working under him, and he's earned that seniority. But in my career, it was 2019. I started the season running for Xfinity points for a team I had driven for. That was my 4th year. I was supposed to drive for another team that in 2019. It didn't work out. The team shut down. So I went back to my old team, underfunded, lower budget, but it was solid. It was secure. I knew I could go race every week, 33 times a year in the Xfinity Series, and I could run 10th place on a good day. Well, I also was running some truck races. I was running all the truck races for this small team that was just starting. It was really their 2nd year, maybe 3rd year, called Nice Motorsports. And we won a race. We won my first truck race in 2019. I started racing trucks in 2011. 2019, we won our first truck race. And I'm like, man, I should have put points in trucks. But I'm already Xfinity. It's not worth the change. Let's just keep going. And the truck team is on me about changing points. Let's run for a championship. We built it. We have a good crew chief now. We've got the team. We don't have a lot of sponsors, but we have the funding we need. We'll be okay. And a few weeks later, we run a few more races, and I decided to switch points. So leaving that previous team was a big decision. I had to. It wasn't pleasant to tell that team owner that I wanted to switch points. He was not in favor of me doing it. He did not want me to leave. It was going to hurt him and me in the short term. But financially, career-wise, it was not the logical choice. But I saw a path that I could win again, and I wanted that. I wanted that chance to win. And the truck series and that Nice Motorsports 45 truck gave me that opportunity.
You took the gamble.
So it was short-term pain for sure, but we won again. We won Iowa, and we win Iowa, we dominate the race, and we get thrown out. We fail post-race tech. First time in 70 years that they've
how'd you fail
take the win away. They'd changed the rule recently. So we failed by the truck being too low in post-race tech. The truck series rules say you start the race at 5.5 inches off the ground. They call it tech height. On the track, you can be whatever you want. So we go on the track, and the truck scrapes the ground. All the way around the track, you're scraping the ground. But when you stop again and they go through tech, it has to naturally raise back up 5.5 inches. Well, it came up about 4 inches, and that's not legal.
Dang.
Doesn't have
4 inches isn't that bad.
Doesn't have any effect on the on-track. It's just the rules, and we failed. So what do? We go to the next race. We take the same truck. We take the same setup. We tweak a few things to just help it come up after the race. Same springs and shocks, though. Go to St. Louis, and we win again. The gamble paid off. We end up running second in the championship. And those races, we were able to win 4 races that year, 3 more after I switched points, is ultimately what Chip Ganassi Racing needed to see to hire me in 2021, 2 years later, to drive their Cup car.
It's a great gamble.
It changed my life. It changed my trajectory. I was headed. I'd had a moment of winning the year before in 2018. The team shut down. I went right back down to mid-pack, and it brought me back to the front of the field and winning.
Love that. It's a good one. Next segment. Call it this or that. Choose whichever one you'd like to. Are you going with wearing hand mittens the rest of your life? You can't take them off. Like hand mittens. There's no finger and whatsoever. Or you have to wear a football helmet the rest of your life. Hand mittens, football helmet. Which one are you choosing?
I think I can drive with hand mittens. I don't think I want to hit a wall with a football helmet. There's differences in a racing helmet and a football helmet.
So you're going
I think I have to go hand mittens. Plus the rest of life, just quality of life.
With a football helmet,
With a football helmet.
Taking a shower with a football helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Going to sleep with a football helmet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The ability to talk to animals, or being able to speak 10 different foreign languages.
Animals over people all day long.
I
want to talk to my pup.
man.
Yep.
I like it. You can ask me one. What would you ask?
If you had to pick, are you eating a seeded or a seedless watermelon for the rest of your life?
Ooh.
Yep. These are seedless sitting between us, but
they are.
I would.
I'm going seeded though, regardless.
I like it. Me too. I've grown up with seedless my whole life, so the people older than us do remember only seeded.
Yeah.
Seedless have been around our whole lives, but yeah, I like spitting the seeds. I mean, I think I could spit a seed further than you. I don't know.
No, I don't know about all that, and we might have to. Might take you up on that challenge.
We got some seeded out here. We could definitely find.
Well,
find
I'll
a
take
seed
you
or
up on
three.
that challenge. So let's do that. But I'm gonna go seeded.
Yep,
it's a great question.
Agreed.
Dude, thanks for coming on today, man. I mean, this is great. Like I said, the partnership that we're going to crank up in 2024, highlighting the farmers across the country, is going to be unbelievable. But it's a natural fit, Ross, for you to come on Like a Farmer and shed light on the ag industry, and also tell us about the success you've had. That seems like you've learned a lot from the family farm, and I can't wait to keep watching you kick butt on the NASCAR series, and let me know if I can ever do anything. And just, as always be like a farmer, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, I appreciate you having me. That's all I ask is that people come to the races, see what we're doing, and of course, buy a watermelon.
And as always, follow, like, comment, and subscribe. Like a Farmer. Do whatever you need to do to be involved and come on this journey with myself to be like a farmer. Thanks, everybody.